breast, hold the chicken.
What up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL Podcast, Week 4, Episode 4. I got David Stoyo from Canada.
What's going on?
I got Aaron Sorensen from Mishawaka.
What's up?
And I got Gavin Heslop from Oregon.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Gavin. All right. We have got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We're going to start with the Thursday night game of Packers-Bears, where the Bears looked unprepared, undisciplined. Right off the bat, there was like 3 turnovers, and we were down 21-0. Mike Glennon sucks. At this point, I think I'd rather have Rex Grossman under center. Stoyo, what did you think of the game?
I'm glad I watched the beginning because the game was over in 53 seconds. It was 14-0 after 53 seconds. So, yeah, good job showing up. The Bears have sucked for the last 3-4 years now, and we finally get a change at QB.
That's what I was just going to say. Maybe this will turn stuff around. We're going to switch to Trubisky. I mean, John Fox really doesn't have any other choice. He's got to make a change, and Trubisky is the logical answer. You're not going to put Mark Sanchez back there. So let's get the young kid out there. So good call on that. Stoyo, week 1, called that Trubisky would start by week 4. And this is week 4. He's starting. Good call, Stoyo.
I called he was going to start week 5.
No, you said week 4 or week 5. My bad. Week 5 at Minnesota. That's what you said.
Versus.
Okay. Did you guys see? Everyone's making a big deal of the Danny Trevathan hit. I saw people on Twitter and people on Facebook like freaking out, saying Trevathan should be suspended for the season. He shouldn't play football again. Such a bad intent, like trying to injure the player, blah, blah, blah. I think that's a bunch of BS. I think the hit was illegal. When he launched, he was launching at the players at Devontae Adams' shoulder, and he happened to drop low, happened to hit him in the head. You can't have that. Obvious fine and illegal hit. But, I mean, how many times do we see a receiver in that play fight for extra yards? We just saw Des Bryant go like 15 extra yards against Arizona. It's called a cleanup tackle. What did you guys think of that play?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see any illegal, or it was definitely an illegal hit, but I didn't think that it was a malicious hit or intent to hurt the guy. It's not like we got a Vontaze Burrow effect out there, but I think that he made such solid contact with Devontae Adams' head, like it was as unintentional it was.
Yeah,
it was
an
awful
nasty
hit, and they need to. The NFL's dealing with a lot of bad press right now with concussions, and especially with the news about Aaron Hernandez, CTE, who had maybe 10 years of football, like real football under his belt, and he had bad CTE. So then you have these kind of hits happening. You got to try and get that out somehow. So you have to find ways to eliminate that from the game. Maybe Trevathan, should he be aiming a little bit lower? I know that he wasn't aiming for the head, but knowing that, time after time we see these situations where you played in slow-mo and you see the receiver duck down to try and avoid contact or something, and then he ends up getting hit in the head. Well, maybe should they not be aiming lower, more in the stomach area or the chest area rather than the shoulder, because then you're that much closer to the head.
I would agree. I think it's difficult in the middle of game action trying to stop a first down from happening to always aim perfectly, where you should. And I think absolutely they should be aiming as safely as they can. You can't have CTE. You can't have these head injuries. And that hit, when you saw it live, it was nasty. And they immediately called over for the trainers. And, I mean, you feel bad for the guy. But I read a thing, Sports Illustrated with Peter King did an interview. He asked Golden Tate and Vikings Harrison Smith about that hit, and they said that that kind of stuff happens sometimes throughout a game. Um, you know, it's tough for the defense to always aim perfectly. Stoya, what did you think?
I mean, when it happens at game speed, it's a hit. And yeah, when you slow it down, it looks worse, but it's hard to tackle someone when you're in the game. I mean, your job as a linebacker is to bring the guy down. I can live with the 1-game suspension, but I don't think he should be out for the season.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Clay Matthews broke Hoyer's arm, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, football is still a violent game, as much as the CTE sucks, but you have to make a tackle. I mean, you have to stop someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Right, well, let's not pretend this isn't all about money, because they're not, like, Brian Hoyer isn't going to have any lawsuits that he's going to try and file because his arm broke. But the NFL, like, on top of some people, like, choosing to have their kids not play sports because of CTE, they're also facing, people are suing them for, money for the injuries that have afflicted them. Because they played and now they have these major head trauma, and so they're wanting to get compensated for that. And so the NFL is facing a real problem right now with having to make sure that they don't have these lawsuits brought up against them time and time again. Like they don't, I'm sure they can afford it, it's just a lot of hassle and a lot of bad press. So I don't know how you outside of disciplining your players, like you have to find some way for these hits to not happen as regularly as they do. But then the other problem is that they want you to start hitting lower, but then the lower you hit, that's where the career-ending and season-ending injuries start to show up. Like when Tom Brady got hit in the knee, out for the season, with one hit in the first game. And so, I remember the first game of the season, Larry Fitzgerald, he sent a tweet to Glover Quinn, the safety for the Lions. He's like, "I'll pay your fine if you hit me high." Because he knows full well that his career is over. Especially an older guy like him, he gets hit low in the knee in the wrong way, he's done.
Yeah,
so NFL's in a real, I don't know, especially if the CTE thing keeps going the way it has been, they're going to be in a real tough spot because they're going to have to get people hitting lower, but not low enough to cause injury. And like you guys are saying, you can't, in the heat of the moment, it's it's going to be difficult to hit in a smaller, strike zone than just the entire body. So it'll be interesting to see how what the NFL starts to do about that further as they just face more stuff comes out about CTE, and if these hits keep happening at the rate they have been over the last few years.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if we need to do more, they need to sign waivers or do something to keep the players from suing the NFL. You can't have all that. You can't have them losing money. Speaking of the NFL losing money, is they're trying to go over to London to make more money. Early Sunday morning was Saints-Dolphins, and the first thing that jumped out to me in this game was the refs. They took over the game from the beginning. It looked like they were trying to rename London Flag City because it was bad. Cutler with a bad red zone interception. At halftime, the score was 3-0 Saints, and the London fans were booing. So it got, the Saints started scoring later, but the final score was 20-0. Stoyo, I got some questions for you on this. A couple weeks ago, the Saints had the worst defense that you might have ever seen, and they were, just awful. 500 yards passing, all that stuff. But then in the last two games, the Saints have only given up 13 points and less than 300 yards passing. What do you think?
I think they faced Jay Cutler. So that's
Good point.
It's true. Here's another thing. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go for it. Okay. Sorry. There you go. Why are we? I know the Jaguars have some sort of agreement for like 4 years to go over to London, but why is every game we're sending over the pond just pretty much kind of garbage versus some kind of okay garbage?
Well, this game.
Like, nothing to the Saints. Saints are good.
Yeah.
The record reflected that much at all. I don't know. It just seems like every game, like they're sending over the Jaguars, these people, and it just seems like you were saying, yeah, there's lots of flags. It just doesn't seem to be well played, well scoring. I mean, if you're trying to go more global with it, it seems like maybe lead off on a better foot. I don't know. I mean, make it a Sunday game or something.
It's
not 9 a.m. stuff.
Well, it's hard to.
Well, okay, yeah, I know the time zones and everything goes. Okay, so forgot about that.
Yeah.
Scroll that from the record that I said that.
I mean, if you look at it, Saints-Dolphins should have been a good game. I thought it was going to be good. That's why I got up to watch it. I thought it was going to be a higher scoring battle. And, I mean, it's not the NFL's fault. Jay Cutler didn't give a shit on Sunday morning. I mean, 20-0. This is after. That game was after Adam Gase called the offense garbage after week 3. So that's the response you get. I guess so. I don't know, but not a pretty sight. I went back to.
It's early.
Did you see what he did on the wild card of the Wildcat?
Yeah, just standing there with his hands on his hips.
Yeah.
Like, come on, at least pretend like you give a shit. That's why people say that, because his body language looks awful, and you're getting paid.
He literally just retired, and what did they pay him? I mean, what did they pay Cutler a year? For what is he, 2 year?
No, 1 year. I think $8 million.
Eight.
Yeah.
Like 8. Yeah, but he's got if he does certain things, he gets quite a big bonus.
Yeah, maybe it goes up to 10 or 12.
Yeah, I mean the guy's literally checked out. Was thinking he's checking out until the team begged him to come back. I mean, he's always felt like a kind of checked out player, but especially when you literally actually retire.
Someone said.
Retire was kind of a forced retirement because.
Yeah, no one wanted him.
Yeah, nobody wanted him.
Someone said that Jay Cutler said that he didn't really practice much to be to call games, and I heard someone say, "Big surprise, he didn't practice much to play quarterback either."
I just can't imagine him saying much in the booth. I mean, you see. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name.
Tony Romo.
Tony Romo is just like he just does line after line in the booth.
Because Tony Romo enjoys football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. There's a difference there. You can see that Romo enjoys breaking down a defense, enjoys everything about the game, and I don't think Cutler enjoys it. It's a paycheck to him.
Well, Romo knows how to break down a defense. I don't know if Cutler was ever able to do that.
Well, he should. How many years of coaching? He's had so many offensive gurus brought in just to help his game. I mean, Jesus.
I mean, I don't know. That just sums it all up right there.
Yeah. So you're saying you'd trade Stafford for Cutler, straight up?
Oh yeah, easily. If I was needing a different toilet, I'd definitely want Cutler over Stafford.
Well, our golden throne is very good right now.
All right. So in another, here's an upset for you guys that I didn't see coming. The Bills stun the Falcons 23-17 with clutch red zone defense. Two Bills players making big plays. Their kicker, Steven Hauschka, who got cut by the Seahawks, had 2 field goals to clinch the game. And ex-Packers safety Micah Hyde, that they just let go, had 2 picks in the game. Falcons also lose Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu in the game. Did you guys see the Bills upsetting the Falcons?
Honestly, I thought the Bills would have been drunk before half. Usual, no, that's pretty crazy. Honestly, I haven't been paying attention to the Bills much, but that was always one team you just kind of thought they were putting the pieces together the last few years. So, I mean, they were going to catch traction, I thought, sometime.
Well, people were saying this offseason that they were, quote, rebuilding, giving away Sammy Watkins, giving away Stephon Gilmore, and people had predicted them to have a really bad season. They're leading the division right now at 3-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Now all they have to do is just
play the
move out of Buffalo.
They got to play the Patriots twice still, so that's not going to help. Another upset, well, kind of an upset. The Jets beat the Jaguars in overtime, 23-20. Just looking at the highlights, you could tell that it was two bad teams. Lots of mistakes, lots of turnovers. But the Jets were predicted to go 0-16, and right now they're currently 2-2. Speaking of predictions like that, the Patriots were the preseason greatest team of all time. Better than the 2007 Patriots. And after losing another home game to the Carolina Panthers, 33-30, they're now 2-2, tied with the Jets. Do you guys think the Patriots can get their shit together and get back to the Super Bowl?
Oh, most definitely. I think the league's. I mean, each team is a professional team. I mean, if they're hitting on all cylinders, I truly think most teams are hard to still beat when everything is working. Not saying I think just being consistent is the biggest problem with it. But I mean, I was just reading another article after that. They're still talking about Tom Brady. Is he the MVP already? And I'm like, dude, the guy's two. I mean, they're 2-2. This isn't normal Patriots, but they always pull it together. I don't see why they shouldn't.
Well, the problem so far is their defense, which has allowed an NFL worst 128 points through the first 4 games of the season, which puts more pressure on your 40-year-old quarterback. Tony Kornheiser was quoted on PTI as saying Tom Brady is 40 and their defense looks 80. What do you think, Gavin? Will the Patriots turn it around?
I absolutely think so. I mean, if you look at this game isolated, you had Cam Newton playing the game of his year so far. I mean, he'd been playing like garbage, but I mean, he had a really high completion percentage, had a really high yards per completion. He also ran the ball more than he had been in the first few games, which I think is something that Carolina needs to move him back to. They talked about getting him to be more of a pocket passer, but you look and see how well they did, how well the offense moved. I know that New England hasn't been great, but they're still in Foxborough, and they put up 33 points on him and beat Tom Brady, who even though they lost he played a good game. Brady did, and as far as how New England has played so far, they lost to the Chiefs, who is probably the best team in football right now.
Yeah, good point.
And then they lost to the Saints in New Orleans, which we all know that Breeze plays better when he's at home, and that's even only 20 points for Breeze at home. That's a defensive win in my book. And the almost loss to the Texans, that I don't know if that's just Deshaun Watson. I'm not understanding him. We'll get to him in the later game, but
yeah,
I think they're fine. I mean, we can't forget that it's Tom Brady, who he's still playing out of his mind. He's got the most passing yards in the NFL right now, and they're led by Belichick. They have good players on their roster still. We're only 4 games in, and we have to remember who all is in their division. They have to beat out the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins, which we've covered all of them, and I don't think the Bills are really. They're 2-2, but I don't think they're a serious contender for the Patriots. They'll show them what's up when they show up in Foxborough.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb. I mean, I think the defense is so bad that Brady has to have a great game for them to win. I'm concerned. They're saying Stephon Gilmore looks completely lost out there in a new system. He might not be a good fit. Ninkovich retired. They're losing players. You got Dante Hightower hurt. He's playing through it, but their defense was number 1 in the league last year. Part of the reason they got as far as they did. And now it's 32nd in multiple categories, and that's going to catch up. That's going to get you. Here's a early prediction. Thursday night, Tampa Bay and New England. I got Patriots falling to 2-3. I got Tampa in that one.
Oh gosh. Tom Brady's going to come get you in your sleep.
All right.
Seriously, it's really quietly fluttering over you with Giselle later.
So here you go. The Lions played the Vikings in Minnesota. They were able to get another road win, 14-7. A horrible. What is up with Minnesota and losing their young star high draft pick players to knee injuries. Dalvin Cook tears his ACL out for the season. The Lions force 3 turnovers, win the game, and they're tied atop the NFC North. What do you guys think? How good are the Lions?
Just the best team right now in football.
Exactly.
The most complete team. My Super Bowl pick.
Agreed. Honestly, you got Matt Prater kicking the shit out of everything he sees. Okay. You got Stafford just being a G, making awesome Pepsi commercials one after another, banger after banger.
Yeah.
But no, but I think. I mean, honestly, I think they're playing the most consistent they've played in years. I mean, even with the better talent that I think we've had in the past years. But our defense is super on point. I think that was the big thing against the Vikings. I mean, we really weren't doing much on offense, and I think that's a problem that I think I've seen in the last few years. We do a lot of little check down plays, short plays. Our running, Abdullah was amazing. I mean, Andrew was telling me a stat. We haven't had a guy run over someone do over 100 rushing yards.
Yeah, since Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush, yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
So for even him to stretch the field like that, and I was looking for some things. I know he went out as kind of an injury, limping a little bit. I mean, was that anything serious?
I haven't heard much on Abdullah, so I don't know if it's a big injury or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We got a problem. We always are sticking close in games. The Vikings handed us that game with all their turnovers. I mean, if it wasn't. We did have some good defensive plays, a couple plays where we knocked the ball for a fumble, but then they had a lot of mess up. They messed up a lot, and they could have made that game a lot closer, or even given us gone out in that game if it wasn't for that. So I think we really need to use Stafford's arm and a couple of our other weapons a little bit more, and not play. I just feel like we get in such a conservative mode in the mid game every time. We save it and hope we get, and then if they go up, we hope we get lucky in the fourth. When a lot of times that doesn't work.
What do you think, Gavin?
Yeah, I was encouraged seeing us run the ball like we did. You were just talking about, we haven't had a 100-yard rusher in 4, 5, 6, however many years. And for a while there, it's because our offensive line was just atrocious and we didn't have anyone to run the ball. But it's good that we're 4 games in and Abdullah is not on the injured reserve yet. Hopefully it can stay that way. And yeah, I think if we can play a little bit more balanced, I don't think we need Stafford to be a gunslinger. And our defense right now, we have a +9 turnover ratio, number 1 in the NFL right now. Yep. So that I don't think we're going to be able to sustain that. That would be great if we could, but if we could even just keep in the positive, that's going to keep us in games a lot more than we had been in the past. But I would like to see us try and open up the offense a little bit more. Minnesota's a good defense, and so I think even more encouraging for me to see Abdullah rush for what he did. But I'm hoping that we can get open it up a little bit more, get some downfield shots, to Tate and to Jones. Get some, and use Riddick too more in the passing game. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't been. He was such a huge weapon for us last year, especially when Abdullah went out, but not in the running game so much as passing. Yeah. And he has not been that big of a part of the offense, which is kind of surprising to me.
He was such a red zone threat for a stretch. I mean, I still think, you have Golden Tate, who's fantastic at getting yards after reception. Theo Riddick's been great, and I really like Marvin Jones Jr. I mean, he had some amazing catches there, great hands. Ebron still, he's got the talent there. So I just don't get sometimes why we're not throwing it more than we are.
Well, you got to stay balanced.
You've been throwing it for 5 years straight.
Yeah, Stafford's thrown. His arm's probably tired. He's thrown a lot. You guys have never.
He's thrown more passes than anyone.
Yeah,
in the last
haven't had a running game, and the fact that Abdullah was able to have a good game against a good run defense in Minnesota, that's promising. Hopefully he's healthy. The turnover stat is a big one. I was going to bring that up. Detroit leads the NFL with 11 takeaways. That's 3 more than any other team, and that's impressive. If you can turn the ball over like that, you're going to win games. So
it really seemed to besides that demoralized, but yeah, I really like the way they were going for the ball without seeming like they were sacrificing blowing the tackle at all.
Yeah, you gotta strike a good balance on that.
Yeah.
So another good game was the Rams' comeback win in Dallas, which I did not see coming. They were down 24-13 and ended up winning 35-30. Coach Sean McVay is definitely getting the most out of Jared Goff, who has now 7 touchdowns and only 1 pick. And they're using Todd Gurley a lot in the receiving and the run game. And at this point, through week 4, he would be my MVP vote. What do you guys think of the Rams?
Yeah, it's been insane how much better Goff has looked this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't played any fantastic defenses yet, so it'll be really interesting to see, when, let me look at his schedule here, when he goes up against...
Like Seattle. They play Seattle this week, I think. Week 5.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that'll be really interesting. And it's at home, too, so that'll be a good kind of ease in against a good defense. But he's had the Colts, Redskins, Niners, and Cowboys, and you look at the scores on those games, and obviously none of those teams have great defenses.
It's a good point.
But he has looked really good, and yeah, I think they're finally utilizing Gurley as much as I think they should have last year in the pass game. That was something they were trying to just force feed him the ball, up the middle, old Jeff Fisher style, trying to get that 8-8 record. But I think definitely using him in the passing game, it opens it up for the receivers, and also takes some pressure off of Goff because he's going to have a little check down. They've also got an improved offensive line, so maybe they just feel like they don't need Gurley to stand back there and block anymore, and they're able to have him go off for some dump-offs. Yeah,
Gurley has been insane. Stoyo, I know you were talking about Goff last week. What do you think?
To me, it just proves how good coaching is important in the NFL.
Yeah.
Last year, the Rams were awful, and now they bring in a new offensive coach or a new head coach, an offensive mind, and it's just very, very important.
Yep. Yeah, coaching is huge.
That game against San Francisco, I mean, I know it's San Francisco, but I mean, he was averaging over 10 yards per throw, 22 and 28 throw. I mean, really, the guy was playing, he's only 22. So,
yeah. I think he's got a brighter upside than a lot of us thought.
Yeah.
But,
he's
all right.
one interception as well, too. So that's not
taking care of the ball and running the ball. I mean, that'll wear out any defense. It's a good start for the Rams. They're on the right track. So the Steelers, coming off a horrible game against Chicago, game they should have won, go to Baltimore, hated division rival, blow them up 26-9. The Ravens have 2 straight losses by a combined 54 points. It would have been a perfect week in Pittsburgh except for Antonio Brown and his little temper tantrum. And here, I felt like I asked a similar question a couple weeks ago. How many Super Bowl rings does Antonio Brown have? I'm just wondering, because Big Ben has 2 of them, and Big Ben has thrown to Antonio Brown probably way more often than he should. Probably in double, triple team. And how many times has Antonio Brown been completely wide open and Big Ben missed him? So he misses him one time, he's wide open down the field, and Antonio Brown throws a temper tantrum, can't believe it, showing up his quarterback, his star quarterback, throws a Gatorade bottle, is yelling at his offensive coordinator. So Big Ben, with his response after the game, or on Monday, quote, he got upset because he was open, which I can understand. Sometimes that happens. It's not like I intentionally didn't throw to him. I was doing what my reads tell me to do. I was reading the side I was supposed to. It's unfortunate that he reacted that way. And ex-Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw, quote, Brown threw a fit, acting like the spoiled brat he probably is. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I don't get it. It seems like the Steelers are a much more disciplined team. That's his 9th season. I mean, that can be the first time that's ever happened to him.
Yeah.
I don't get. I mean, did he have a bad day or something? I mean, I guess that's, you guys got to see if it transpires in other games. But it's passion. So, let one or two go.
I would say this is strike two. If you combine the whole Facebook Live after a big win in the playoffs, a Facebook Live going into the Patriots AFC Championship game. And this is another week where you should have, all the momentum coming off a huge division win on the road. And now you got to deal with this in the media.
Yeah. It's only going to get worse, though. I mean, the media is just looking for stories all the time. And, yeah, this is a good one. But, I mean, it's not saying it's always kind of a spotlight on them. But, I think that's something more and more that these guys just learn to deal with or just, ignore.
Or they keep doing it until they get traded.
Yeah, that could be it. Hey, he better put up some numbers then.
Yeah.
So he does.
What do you got, Gavin? What was your opinion on Antonio?
Yeah, that's really disappointing to see. I've always been a huge fan of him, being a 6th round pick out of CMU represent.
Nice.
And just kind of turning into one of the best receivers in the league. It was just a really cool story, and I've always had a lot of respect for him because he's always just kind of flown in under the radar and just gone in there, done his job, and done it really well. And then to see him do something like this, definitely, I wouldn't say I necessarily lost some respect for him, but it was definitely disappointing to see, and I hope that he doesn't turn into the next Odell Beckham as far as temper tantrums and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was a bummer to see. I'm glad that Big Ben called him out and he did his job and was the captain of the offense and tried to keep his guys in line. And hopefully we don't see any more of that, and he can just keep putting up the big numbers that we usually see him do.
I agree. It's not Antonio Brown to normally do this. This just started last year in the playoffs. Antonio Brown, before that, has worked hard, kept his head down, was just there to catch balls and score touchdowns, and he put up the stats, and sometimes that happens when you get the big money, and it goes to your head a little bit. Stoyo, what do you think on the situation?
I think, as Coach Edwards said, you play to win the game.
Yeah.
They won the game. It doesn't matter if you have 200 yards or 2 yards.
Yeah.
As long as you win the game, you win the game.
Yep.
And also, Antonio Brown's been targeted 193 times in 2015, 138 times last year, and 181 times in 2014.
Yeah.
He's getting his fair share of targets.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be open a few times when you don't get the ball. I would understand if they lost the game. Yeah, he could have scored a TD, but they won.
Yep, you got to keep your emotions in check, especially when you got a star quarterback that you got to account for. Speaking
especially
of, what's up?
When this could be Ben's last year.
Yeah, help him. Don't, like Big Ben said, come talk to me. Don't show me up on the field in front of in front of national TV. Speaking of star quarterbacks or soon to be, Deshaun Watson. Check out this week. So first, after last week playing a solid game, he decides to give his game check to the Houston Texans stadium cafeteria workers affected by Hurricane Harvey. Gives them all a piece of his game check. So that must be good karma, huh?
How much? I mean, does anybody know how much that was?
I believe it was like $29,000
each check.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. That's. I did see that. That is, yeah. That's the way to do it, man.
That must have been good karma because then he goes out in a division rival game and ties the NFL rookie record for touchdowns in a game, 4 passing and 1 running. And the Texans destroy Tennessee 57-14. What do you think of Deshaun Watson? Is he a future star? Yeah. What do you think?
Geez, I mean, 57 points. And talk about the guy, but just what he does for the team.
Yeah.
If you can get behind a guy and do that, holy cow! And yeah, as you were saying for the checks, I mean, hey, he probably slept well after that. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's good sleep, but that is awesome for that town when that stuff happens. I remember kind of when Boston had their thing after the bombing, that a lot of the Red Sox kind of everybody rallied around them. So that's great for the city.
Yep.
That I mean, something to take your mind off and focus on other things a little more positive. So,
Gavin, are you a Deshaun Watson fan?
Yeah, I was a big fan of his, in college, and I was really excited to see what he could do in the NFL. And I was excited that the Texans got him, and was hoping that he would be able to, add some spark to their offense to add to their what
defense.
was a really potent defense.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, Tennessee. I know the secondary is a bit suspect, so I'm not gonna call him the next great quarterback at this point. But he's definitely shown. He's shown improvement as weeks after weeks have gone on.
Yeah.
My only concern is his durability, not because he's shown any major issues in the past, but just because the quarterbacks that he kind of fits the mold of the running quarterbacks that aren't a big frame like Cam Newton. They have a tendency to get hurt, and he's not. He's not a linebacker size like Cam Newton, so I really hope for his sake that he can stay healthy because he's definitely shown some promise, and it's exciting. It's good to see, and they've got Will Fuller back this week too, so they got that deep threat that they are happy to have back to go with that big arm that Watson's got, and obviously they got DeAndre Hopkins out there being one of the best receivers that finally might have someone decent throwing him the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys, sorry, I just have a question. I know a lot of these running kind of quarterbacks have been more prone to injury, even lately with the more a little bit more hardened rules on hitting, and especially on keeping quarterbacks safe. But do you think that will, as this goes on more and only to get in more, regulations about what you can hit, when you can hit and stuff, I mean, do you think we'll see a bigger takeoff of these style of quarterbacks?
No, for that example, they get hurt too often. It's tough to be a quarterback like that.
The rules being a lot more in their favor now. I know they still have been getting injured, but do you think the drop back quarterback, with those kind of rules being like that, you could have more guys like this?
It's getting difficult because these guys, as a running quarterback, it's not about the type of hits you're getting. It's just the amount. As a drop back quarterback, you've got an offensive line there to protect you. You've got the referee there to protect you with the rules. When you decide to run outside the pocket, no longer do you have the quarterback protection. You're a running back then. And you get hit more. The hits pile up. Cam Newton, there that year that he was the running back, he got hit as much as a running back, and we all know how long the life of a running back is. Getting hurt all the time. So, as a quarterback, these quarterbacks that are not built like Cam Newton, I mean, even the Panthers are trying to change the way Cam Newton plays. It doesn't matter how big you are, the hits pile up, and you have more likely to get hurt until you become RG3, where if you touch him, he gets hurt.
Speaking of mobile quarterbacks getting hurt, you had Mariota get hurt.
Yep.
In this game, so he's got according to the NFL, he's got 7 pounds on Watson. So
yep.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the second injury for him too.
Watson's not a small guy either, but I mean, just compare. Yeah, like you're saying. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, those guys hitting you, it doesn't matter how big you are.
The thing that
you could see Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You could see Mariota was so pissed at himself that he got hurt.
Yeah.
You could tell that he wanted to go back in there, and he was almost ready to cry.
Oh, yeah.
QBs like Cutler that don't even care. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, good news for the Titans. They pick up Brandon Whedon off the free agency wire, so no need to be concerned. So
add him to your fantasy lineup.
So
breakout player of week 5.
The Bucks and Giants played, and it took a fourth quarter game-winning drive by Jameis Winston to beat the Giants 23-22. The Giants continue to struggle, dropping to 0-4. They looked better, but still can't get the W. One nice stat on this game was the Giants' rookie running back Wayne Gallman Jr. It was his NFL debut, which also happened to be his birthday, and he caught his first touchdown pass. So not a bad day for him. Are the Giants done? Do you think they can bounce back?
No, they cannot. They're 0-4, and I have no faith in their coach whatsoever.
Yeah, like you were saying, coaching's so big. Then the Giants were always known for like getting super cold and super hot late in the year, but yeah, without the right coaching, they were looking terrible. I mean, their play calling was terrible. It's too many things to fix.
Yep. Gavin, what did you think of the whole Ben McAdoo calling out Eli Manning?
Oh yeah, you can't do it not like he did. Like that's kind of like Roethlisberger said, just do it. Talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what good trying to call out a 2-time Super Bowl MVP you think that's gonna do for you, but I don't know. Some people are just better as coordinators, I guess, and this might be another example of that. One positive of the Giants, though, even though they lost, is that they did not concede a sack in this game, which was a huge problem for them in their first few games. So
yeah.
I'm not super familiar with the Bucs rushing defense, so I'm not sure whether they have toddlers on the ends or whatever. But
they're not bad.
True. It's actually Top Troop.
Top Troop is out there.
If he can't get past Eric Flowers, he's got to step up his game.
Right, they're allowing the green sweatpants to be played as regulation gear, so probably untouchable.
Man.
Oh, absolutely.
300 yards plus.
But yeah, it's exciting to see Gallman. They actually might have a decent running back.
Yeah.
Perkins has been hot garbage, but I don't think they're certainly not making the playoffs this year. And as far as their future goes, I've heard quite a few people talking about them drafting Manning's replacement this year in the draft if the college players that are coming out this year keep playing the way they have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a QB heavy draft.
Yeah, quite a few players are supposed to be first round worthy, not just we need a quarterback and we have a first round pick, so we'll take them.
Yeah.
What up, Blaine Gabbert?
How do you think Odell Beckham is going to react to all the losing?
Not well.
They got to hide their field goal kicking nets. He's going to bend all of them.
He's going to start fighting them all.
Okay, so what is this? Oh, Eli Manning. I mean, he is. For some reason, I was always thinking he's younger, but I mean, he is 36, and he does. He already looks like the head hits have taken a hold of him.
I don't know. I think Eli Manning, with the right team around him, can get it done. But this is like you said, the offensive line is struggling. The coaching, the play calling is bad. It might be too much for the Giants to overcome this year. And Ben McAdoo, I'm just counting down the days till that guy gets fired because he seems a tad bit incompetent, in my opinion. So the Broncos.
When you have a New York team, I mean, it's much that can be. You have New York there. I mean, you got to play to at least try to play to some certain level. Unless you're the Knicks, then you can just be shit forever.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Josh McDaniels.
Oh yeah.
So, Broncos get a big division win against the Raiders, 16-10, and in the process, Derek Carr gets a broken bone in his back and is out 2 to 6 weeks. Do you guys have faith in backup quarterback E.J. Manuel to keep the boat from sinking?
Well, he's the perfect example of someone taken in the first round that was just because they needed a quarterback and not because he was good enough to.
Exactly.
So if that answers, I think that answers your question.
So you're saying he's really good, Gavin?
Yeah, like phenomenal, like Hall of Famer. They'll forego the 5 years after you retire, and they'll just put him in while he's still active.
I heard that good.
If you think a poor man's Dante Culpepper is good, then yes.
Poor man's like end of the career playing for the Lions, Dante Culpepper.
Yeah. Are you talking about like nowadays Dante Culpepper?
I'm talking about Donovan McNabb suiting up tomorrow.
Oh, God.
I like McNabb, man. Always got the short end of the stick. I bet he'd be fine.
I saw him this summer, and he was a little bit chubbier than I remember.
Why were you stalking him, Stoyo?
I saw him at the O'Hare Airport, actually.
He saw him on Tinder.
they mad.
For Grindr.
Looking for somebody just to pass the ball with in the backyard.
Actually, he was eating a shit ton of McDonald's.
I
Well,
want to see who's chubbier, Culpepper or McNabb.
Come on, Culpepper has to be like.
Dude, he's got platinum membership at the Golden Corral. You know.
All right. To get back on topic, let's talk about Raiders. Raiders. Amari Cooper. What, Aaron? You got something to say?
I'm sorry. I do. Like I was telling you, I may have to leave early, and that the bell has rung. So,
all right, get out of here, Aaron.
It was great fun, and that was next week. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Peace.
All right, Gavin.
Easy, Aaron.
You keep it easy, Gavin.
Always.
All right. See you guys.
Later. So the Raiders, Amari Cooper, supposed to be one of their star players, leads the league in drops. Raiders are already 2-2. I mean, this is supposed to be a team that could possibly challenge for the Super Bowl. What do you guys think? I mean, do they need to get a different quarterback? Do they need to maybe look at Kaepernick?
Honestly, I don't think that AJ Emmanuel is that bad. I watched him play on Sunday, and he was adequate.
He was okay, but he also threw the game-losing pick. You know?
If I remember correctly, wasn't it a tip ball or something?
I don't think so. I think it was a pretty bad throw. They were driving, they were down 6.
It was in the end zone.
Yeah, but I didn't like the throw. I remember that. What do you think, Gavin?
Yeah, I didn't see the game, so I'm not sure how it ended. But looking at it numbers-wise, like he looks like he could be a game manager.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to go out and win them any games. But I don't think their defense is good enough to be able to get by with just a game manager. And frankly, their offensive weapons have not been well. Crabtree's been good when he's healthy, but he's out, and hopefully he's not going to be out for too much longer. But yeah, Cooper leads the league in drops. He had 2 receptions in this last game, and Marshawn Lynch has been awful.
Yeah,
he was supposed to be coming in and be great behind this offensive line. And he hasn't done anything. And now with Carr out for I've heard up to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I think they might have a really disappointing season after how they ended last year.
It's gonna be the defense has got to carry them. I mean, if you're looking at 6 weeks, they got to at least go. They need to be at least around 500. He's already gonna lock up probably the division, and then you're looking at a wild card, so it's going to be tough. Seahawks blow out the Colts as expected. They were trailing at halftime, but then turned it on. They lose their rookie running back, who was looking pretty good. Chris Carson is out 2 months with ankle surgery. Do you guys think Eddie Lacy can actually step up and earn his contract now that Carson's out?
He's going to have a chance now. I mean, what's the other guy's name? CJ Procise, I think, is going to be back, but he just keeps getting hurt. So I don't know how much they can rely on him. So now it's Eddie Lacy and Thomas Rawls and then McKissick. So they've got some options, but Lacy didn't see this game either because I knew it was going to be. But Lacy's numbers look good. But this is also the
Indy,
Colts, so can't read into that too much. But I mean, they really need to start shoring up their offensive line this next offseason for sure, because Russell Wilson can't keep taking the hits that he's taking, and they need to be able to run the ball. And they don't have somebody like Marshawn Lynch that can lead them. Like Russell Wilson, he's a mobile quarterback, and he's really good at evading the rush and not getting pummeled, but you never know when it just takes one hit to knock a guy out for a season or two.
Yep.
Teddy Bridgewater still isn't back.
Yeah. Yep. What do you think, Stoyo? Are you still a believer in Seattle, or?
I watched the game, and the first half I was getting worried, and I'm like, wow, Seattle just looks out of it, and they might lose this game. And then they came out, had some halftime adjustments, and just took over the game.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson made some amazing plays.
Yeah.
He's just so much fun to watch.
He's got a very strong arm on him. So
And
shockingly.
he's also very good at avoiding contact.
Yeah.
Runs where other QBs would have taken several hits, but he just knows when to slide, knows when to run out of bounds, and just gets what he needs to get, gets the first down, and just moves
See,
on.
a guy like him, you can be a running quarterback in this league if you're Russell Wilson and know how to protect yourself. He knows how to do. He played that baseball. He knows how to do the baseball slide. He knows how to avoid contact. Chiefs survived the Redskins on Monday night. They remain undefeated. Chiefs are still the best team through Week 4. How far do you think the Chiefs can go? Are you a believer, Stoyo?
I am.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs could go to the AFC Championship and potentially go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hunt is just playing lights out as long as Alex Smith keeps doing what he's been doing. And I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but yeah, Alex Smith looks like an amazing quarterback right now.
Yeah, and as good as Deshaun Watson has been, I would give offensive rookie of the year so far to Kareem Hunt.
Absolutely, yeah. He leads the league in rushing by 140 yards.
Yeah.
Through 4 games. Like he leads the second place guy by a full game.
That's awesome.
And he's active in the passing game too.
Yeah.
He's not just a runner. Like he's a every down back.
You know that in his college career, I believe it was 4 years at Toledo, he never fumbled.
Wow.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Is he fumbled his very first carry?
Yeah.
Like
in the NFL.
What if he played for Washington and Gruden? He's like, oh, we never forget when you fumble.
Yeah.
What if he benched him? What if he had done that? Like, what he would have missed out on.
Yeah.
So heads up, Gruden. People make mistakes sometimes. but yeah, going to what Stoyo said, Alex Smith is playing out of his mind right now. Definitely the best he's played in a long time. I don't know if drafting a quarterback in the first round just lit a fire under him. You've seen it happen before.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when the Panthers drafted Jonathan Stewart because D'Angelo Williams had been doing nothing. All of a sudden, Williams is like, okay, I'll rush for 1,400 yards.
Yeah.
Suddenly they get a little motivation, and I think especially the Chiefs, with the start the Chiefs have had and the slow start the Patriots have had, the Chiefs could very well have home field going through the playoffs, which might be the thing they need to get a few wins over real teams. I'm not counting last year's win over Houston. That was a joke, but
yeah.
I think they're real contenders. They got a solid defense. I don't remember exactly the prognosis on Eric Berry's injury, but I really hope he can come back and help out the team again, because I just love him as a player and his whole story.
I know. What was that? Was it an ACL or an Achilles?
I'll look it up right now.
I know it was. That's borderline season. Like, if he could come back for the Super Bowl only, that would be cool. I know it.
It's an Achilles tear or ruptured Achilles. That's going to be really hard to come back from. Yeah. The fortunate thing for them is that it happened so early.
Yeah, they can.
So that he should be back, for a good chunk of next year, if not all of it.
Yeah, and they can learn to hopefully adjust and get someone in a spot that can do all right.
They're doing okay still. I mean, even without him, they're doing fairly well. Even without their probably their second best defensive player. Justin Houston is too much of a beast to not give him number one.
Yeah.
But it's a phenomenal, safety for sure. But yeah, they're my number one team in the NFL right now, no question.
Yeah, and I would say Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the game. I think he's past Gronk because Gronk can't stay on the field.
Yeah, I mean, when he first, a couple years ago, when he kind of burst onto the scene, everyone was calling him Mini Gronk, but I think he's just as talented as him.
Yeah.
He just hasn't had a quarterback that, threw the ball, like Gronk had. I mean, was it 2 years ago that Kansas City didn't have a single pass to a receiver for a touchdown?
For a touchdown,
Or 3 years ago. What team has ever done that? But, that's just the game style they play. But now Alex Smith has been opening up. He's using Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Hunt, all of these guys. He's utilizing all of them. And they're making plays, and Smith is mobile too. Like, he's not a Michael Vick, but he's a lot more mobile than people give him credit for, or tend to forget he is.
And I think that's the thing with the spread, because Andy Reid's been running that for a while, but I think, when was Andy Reid best at it? When he had a running back like Westbrook who was killing it, and McNabb, and now that he's got Kareem Hunt, he was doing pretty well with Shady McCoy too. Now he's got Kareem Hunt. I think a running game really opens up the spread offense. So Thursday night, I already made my prediction. I got Patriots over Bucks. What do you guys think? Patriots bounce back?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I know it's a short week, but I think that actually helps them. I think they're a better coached team. They're a more experienced team. But it should be a good game, though. The Bucks have a pretty good offense. Winston, he's got a few more weapons now. And if the Patriots defense keeps playing like it has been, especially in the secondary, and they don't have much rushing. They traded away. I can't remember the guy's name, to Arizona.
Chandler Jones.
Chandler Jones, that's the guy. Man, I think that was a huge mistake. But
yeah.
They don't pay people other than Tom Brady. But
anyways, that one and getting rid of LeGarrette Blount, I think, is two mistakes that they made.
I don't think so. Gillislee has been playing just fine for me. I think they've just been behind too much to have him just bowling ball through.
Yeah. All right.
But Blount is playing better than I thought he would. But
yeah.
I've got the Patriots in this one, but I don't know if we're doing spreads, but I got them by 4.
Nice. I'm gonna say Bucks by 3. So what do you think?
I'm guaranteeing the Patriots win.
Nice.
I mean, I hate to go against them. I mean, it'd be a sexy pick to pick Tampa, but unfortunately, they have the best QB and the best coach. So if anyone can...
I don't know if Dirk Cutter's the best coach, but I do agree Jameis is the best quarterback.
Nice. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, we'll see. That should be a really good game, though. I'm looking forward to it.
That defense is definitely worrisome because Tom Brady has played lights out. He has 10 TDs, no pick, and his QB rating is like 116.
Yeah.
So he's playing like a 25-year-old, and yeah, that defense is definitely suspect.
Yeah, and you would expect Belichick to be able to adjust and have the team ready to play. So it should be a good game. It's going to come down to whether Winston can protect the ball or not. Sunday, Panthers at Lions. Do you see a Detroit victory, Gavin?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we've been playing a little bit more balanced, and I think that Carolina's going to be coming in a little bit cocky after their win, and coming a little bit unprepared.
Yeah.
I'm certainly hoping for that, but I think that's still a realistic option. I mean, as a Lions fan for my entire life, unfortunately, there's a little guy in the back of my head saying, "But they're gonna blow it." But I'm hoping they don't.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to pull it out, especially at home.
I actually do too. I think Cam's gonna be a little distracted for some reason this week. So, Stoyo, what do you think?
It's early in the year. Detroit knows how to win in September and October.
All right, fair enough. And then Monday night, the game I can't wait. Get to see Mitch Trubisky take the field. Must watch, in my opinion. And I got the Bears getting their second win of the year. What do you think, Stoyo?
I think we're gonna win.
Yeah.
I
think he's gonna find a way.
Because I love my Bears, and it'll be definitely something to see. I wanted Watson.
Me too.
But we got Trubisky, so hopefully we got the right pick.
I think he's got the upside based on what I saw in preseason, which you can't put a ton of stock in, but that's all I got. He looked promising, and he can't be any worse than Mike Glennon. So
absolutely, yeah, for sure. I was upset before the preseason, and then I watched the preseason. Just his mobility was out of this world.
Yeah. What do you think, Gavin? Are you gonna try and catch this game?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely watch this one. I think it'll be a good matchup. I'm wondering it'll be. I think I'll say the Bears win if Bradford doesn't play.
Yeah.
But if Bradford plays, I think the Vikings have the edge. I mean, Thielen and Diggs. I know losing Dalvin Cook is huge. They got Latavius Murray, who's a pretty decent backup, but having Thielen and Diggs and Kyle Rudolph on the offense, especially if you can get Bradford back in there, throwing them the ball, I think it'll be a little too much for the Bears to take, especially with Trevathan out too.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see Trubisky too. There's been all this, this hype about whether he was worth the number 2 pick because there's so little game film on him, from college. I think that might even be to the Bears' advantage because their Vikings don't have that much to study.
Well,
my only worry is the people who signed Glennon are the people who drafted Trubisky.
Yeah. I mean, watching him on film, I'm optimistic, but I do not trust management. I don't trust the moves. I didn't like the move. I would have taken Deshaun Watson at 3. I wouldn't have moved up. I don't know why they moved up, and I would have taken Watson. I think a lot of teams passed on Watson, and they're going to regret it. But hopefully, at the same time, Trubisky is a stud as well. So we'll see Monday night. It should be awesome. I can't wait for it. Thanks, guys, for coming on the podcast. It was a good one. Week 4 was a success. Thanks for coming on, Gavin. You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gavin.
Aaron decides to dip out early, so very, very cool. But anyways, no worries. All right, so thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you later.
All right, bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.